It's funny how right-wingers in the United States worship Putin so much, but they don't want to move over to Russia and help him in his invasion against the Ukrainian people. I wonder why.
You said 2 weeks ago you're in favor of freezing the current line of control, letting Russia keep the Donbas region as long as Ukraine would give up all attempts to enter NATO. That's Vladimir Putin's basic demand. There's evidence of thousands of Ukrainian children being kidnapped from those areas of Russian control, murders, atrocities in that area. Isn't that just letting Putin win despite his war crimes?
Well, right-wingers don't care about Putin committing war crimes. All they want to see is Putin gain as much land and power as possible.
Andrew, you conveniently left out the most important part of the deal, which is what the United States wins out of it. That would only be conditioned on Vladimir Putin exiting his military alliance with China. The Russia-China military alliance is the single greatest threat that the United States faces today.
That is not the single greatest threat the United States faces, and supporting Russia in their invasion wouldn't damper any supposed threat against the United States by Russia.
Excuse me, that would be conditioned, you said, on Russia containing control of the land he has grabbed. So China is a whole other question.
Yes.
Let's move on.
So there's a deal.
Let's move on
it's
to
not.
China.
It's not. Andrea,
But
1 second. This
wait,
is really important to understand.
let
I proposed a
follow
deal.
up.
There are two sides to the deal. Exit the military partnership with China. That's a crucial part of the deal that I would do.
In terms of China, you've also talked about staying as a force, a deterrent force in the Taiwan Strait, putting more military in until you said we would be independent on superconductors in 2028. And at that point, we should pull out and Taiwan would be on its own. Let me play for you what Nikki Haley has said about what you've said about our allies.
That's not what I've said,
alliances.
but you can play Nikki Haley's lies.
You
Sure.
you said that we should send destroyers through the Taiwan Strait once a week, keep ramping up
Yes.
naval deployments in the South China Sea to essentially deter China from trying to take over Taiwan until we have achieved semiconductor independence by the end of your first term in 2028.
At which point,
it would no longer be in our
we will
self-interest to
resume.
stop China. Is that the way the U.S. under
That's not what I
President
said.
Ramaswamy would treat allies?
I will give you word for word what I said, at which point we will resume our position of strategic ambiguity, which, Andrea, I will remind you, is our position towards Taiwan today. The U.S., neither party even recognizes Taiwan as a nation right now. Both parties embrace the one China policy as we speak.
With the position
that's a good thing, because then you would know that what I've said.
But that position
Exactly.
does not deal with
I'm the
military.
only presidential candidate, Andrea. I'm the only presidential candidate who has said we will defend Taiwan. Nobody's had the courage to say it. And then I've said after we achieve semiconductor independence, we will resume our current posture of strategic ambiguity.
Which is
and so I think it's important we have these
notional.
debates honestly.
Yeah, 2028
That is correct, which is exactly
notional.
what it is today. Which is exactly what it is today. It's a notional commitment to strategic ambiguity.
Let me play what Nikki Haley said about your position on Ukraine, Israel.
I love how he's trying to railroad her and like talk over her because he knows he has messed up.
Taiwan.
Yeah, it's a lie. Go ahead and play it. Yeah.
We do need friends. We do need allies. We should never stop doing that. And his idea of breaking the partnership with Israel's the first line of defense for Iran.
That is something I can actually agree with. Let's break our partnership with Israel because Israel is just another fascist nation, and we shouldn't be giving them tons and tons of money and military equipment.
We have a partnership with Israel because they're the front line of defense to Islamic terrorism.
Right, by committing terrorism against other people that somehow stops terrorists. That's stupid.
We have a front line of defense with Ukraine because they are keeping Putin from doing what he said, which is the next stop is Poland and the Baltics, and that's a world war. That is what we're trying to prevent.
Would you respond to her?
Yeah, with due respect, my concern is that our steps and NATO's steps right now are marching us closer to world war by driving Russia further into China's hands at a time when
what's going to start a world war is Russia trying to fight all the nations he wants to take over. This dude is really stupid. He's trying to make it seem like it's everybody else's fault and not the fault of Putin who started the invasion.
when we have no visibility into what Russia's red lines are, and further at a moment when Russia has a larger nuclear stockpile and super EMP capabilities and hypersonic missile capabilities ahead of that of the U.S. And so what I've said is I would end that war.
They may have a few of those items, but we see that their military is pretty much non-functioning. So just because they may have some kind of weapon that the United States doesn't have doesn't mean that Russia is going to win.
But on terms that end the Russia-China partnership. That is also how we deter Xi Jinping from going after Taiwan. Because right now, Xi Jinping's bet is that the U.S. will not want to go for two different allied nuclear superpowers at the same time. But if Russia is no longer in China's camp, then Xi Jinping is going to have to think twice before going after Taiwan. And I will repeat, I'm the only presidential candidate who has affirmatively said we will defend Taiwan because we have greater national interests there than we do in Ukraine. And I do not think that this war advances American interests. We should focus on the real enemy, that is communist China. And that's how I orient my foreign policy.